The verdict and the seeds, the assembly. Of fear, the central chamber of the galactic music assembly hung in the void like a massive diamond. It was built from compressed starlight, a technology so old that even the eldest races had forgotten who created it. Today, the chamber buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 47 different civilizations gathered for an unprecedented trial. At the center of the chamber stood Commander Sarah Chin, a human woman in her early 40s with sharp eyes and calm features. She wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, around her arranged in concentric circles that rose toward the ceiling sat beings of every imaginable form. Some breathed methane, others existed as pure consciousness inside crystalline shells. All of them stared at Sarah with the same expression, terror. Prime Arbiter ZH Thor descended from his elevated platform. He was a member of the Valkyrie, beings who looked like living shadows wrapped in robes of captured light. His species had witnessed the birth and death of stars. They were known for their wisdom and fairness, but today his voice trembled. When he spoke, Commander Chin of Earth Z Thor began, "We have summoned you here to deliver our judgment. Your species has been observed for exactly 100 standard cycles since first contact. What we have witnessed has filled this council with profound concern." Sarah said nothing. She had expected this moment for years. The case against humanity. Ambassador Krelnix of the Thurnks Empire stepped forward. The Thurnks were massive beings covered in bony plates, their civilization built on strict order and predictability. Krelnix's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "When we first encountered humanity, your world was divided into nearly 200 separate nations. You fought wars over resources, ideology, and ancient grudges. This is normal for young species. We expected your self-destruction within 50 cycles." He paused and his 4 eyes narrowed. "Instead, you did the impossible. Within 20 cycles of learning, you were not alone in the universe. Your entire planet unified, every nation, every culture, every competing government simply chose to work together. No species in recorded history has done this so quickly." Counselor Mirasol, a being made of flowing liquid light, added her voice. "This unity was not forced through conquest or domination. You simply decided as a species that cooperation was more valuable than conflict. This level of adaptability is unprecedented." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Is cooperation now considered a crime?" "It is not the cooperation we fear," Zethor replied. "It is the pattern, the speed, the efficiency, the evidence." A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. It showed a star map of the galaxy with Earth marked at the edge. Then one by one, red dots began appearing across the map, hundreds of them, then thousands. These markers, Zethor explained, represent locations where we have detected human genetic material, human cultural influence, or human technological patterns. Commander Chin, Earth has been under strict observation for 100 cycles. No human ship has been permitted to leave your solar system. Our sensors are flawless. Our quarantine is absolute." He gestured at the sea of red dots covering the galaxy. "Explain this." Sarah looked at the display with genuine interest. "That is more than I expected. Actually, our estimates were lower." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted, dozens of languages creating a cacophony that the translation system struggled to manage. Zethor raised his hand and silence fell like a heavy blanket. You admit it, he asked. Quietly, you admit that humanity has violated the quarantine. There was no quarantine to violate, Sarah replied. Calmly, your sensors detected no ships leaving Earth because we never left from Earth. We were already out here before you ever told us to stay home, the truth revealed senior analyst Tefar, crystalline being whose thoughts moved faster than most species could speak. Access the historical records. His voice was like wind chimes in a storm. First contact with humanity occurred in Galactic Cycle 2247. The quarantine was established in Cycle 2250. Are you claiming humans were already spread across the galaxy before we even met? You, not exactly, Sarah said. We were spread across the galaxy before you noticed us. There's a difference. She touched a device on her wrist and new data flooded the holographic display. 137 years ago, Earth launched something called the Genesis Protocol. We sent out colony ships in every direction, small ships moving slowly designed to avoid detection. Each ship carried frozen embryos, artificial wombs, and caretakers programmed with human knowledge and culture. The display showed pathways radiating from Earth like the roots of a vast tree. We didn't know if anyone else was out there. We were alone as far as we knew, but we looked at our own history of extinction, events, asteroid impact, solar flares, and we made a decision. Humanity would never keep all its eggs in one basket. Again, Krelnix's bony plates rattled with agitation. This is exactly what we feared. Unchecked expansion, uncontrolled reproduction. You are behaving exactly like a plague species. We are behaving like a species that wants to survive, Sarah countered. Every civilization in this chamber has spread beyond their home world. Why are we different? The real fear. Jor floated closer to Sarah, his shadow form rippling with emotion. You want to know why you are different? I will tell you. 300,000 cycles ago, a species called the Zytra emerged. They reproduced quickly, adapted rapidly, and spread across their region of space. Within 10,000 cycles, they had consumed 40% of the galaxy. Every world they touched became barren. Every species they encountered was enslaved or destroyed. He gestured to the assembled delegates. It took the combined might of 600 civilizations to stop them. Trillions died. Entire species were erased from existence. We swore that day never again would we allow such a threat to grow unchecked. Sarah's expression softened. I understand your fear, Arbiter. I truly do, but humanity is not the Zytra. That is what they said too at first. Counselor Mirasol replied before they showed their true nature. Then let me show you ours, Sarah said. The hidden truth. Sarah activated another sequence on her device. The holographic display chain showing detailed information about each of the red markers on the map. These locations represent human populations. Yes, but look closer at what they actually are. The council members examined the data. Confusion rippled through the chamber. This marker here, Sarah pointed to a dot near Thax. Space is a farming community on the moon of Kelp Prime. The colonists are third-generation descendants of the original Genesis ship. They grow food using Earth techniques and sell it to 6 nearby worlds. Their best customer is the Thax Agricultural Collective. She pointed to another marker. This one is a medical research station in neutral space. The scientists there are working with Valkyrie researchers to cure a genetic disease that affects both our species. They have made significant progress. One by one she highlighted the markers: teachers in your universities, engineers in your shipyards, doctors in your hospitals, artists in your cultural centers. We have not conquered anyone. Arbiter, we have joined you. Tephars, crystalline form pulsed with rapid thought. But this is impossible. We have records of these individuals. They have documented family histories going back generations in our own species. They cannot be human. They are not fully human. Sarah agreed. That is the point. The Genesis Protocol was never about creating human colonies that stayed separate. It was about creating humans who could adapt, who could integrate, who could become part of whatever civilization they encountered. She pulled up genetic records. The colonists from the Genesis ships did not stay isolated. They married into local populations. They had children with your species. Their grandchildren had children with your neighbors. For over a century, human DNA has been slowly mixing with dozens of alien species. Chamber fell absolutely silent. The impossible verdict. Zethor stared at the data, his ancient mind struggling to process the implications. You have made yourselves impossible to remove. Even if we wanted to eliminate every human in the galaxy, we would have to destroy our own people, our own children. We have made ourselves part of you. Sarah corrected gently. This was never an invasion. Arbiter was an immigration. Very long, very slow immigration. Krelnik slammed his massive fist on his platform. This is outrageous. You have violated our sovereignty. You have contaminated our genetic lines without permission. Did we, Sarah asked, or did your own people choose to marry us, work with us, have children with us? We forced nothing. We offered only friendship and cooperation. Your people accepted because they wanted to. Counselor Myra's light flickered with what might have been admiration or anger, possibly both. You planned this from the beginning. This was always your strategy. It was our hope. Sarah admitted. We looked at the galaxy and saw thousands of civilizations that were older, stronger, and more advanced than us. We knew we could not compete through force, so we chose a different path. We chose connection. Zethor returned to his platform, moving slowly as if he carried a great weight. The council must deliberate. Commander Chin, you will wait outside while we decide humanity's fate. Sarah bowed respectfully and left the chamber. As the doors sealed behind her, she touched her wrist device again and sent a simple message to Earth. They know everything. Proceed to Phase 2. 10,000 light-years away in the dark space between stars, 1,000 hidden human settlements received the same message. They had been waiting for this moment for over a century. Now, finally, humanity would stop hiding. The galaxy was about to discover that declaring humanity illegal was like trying to outlaw the wind. You could make all the laws you wanted, but the wind would blow anyway. In the assembly chamber, the council began their debate, unaware that the verdict no longer mattered. Humanity had already won, not through conquest or war, but through the simple act of becoming family. The question now was not whether humans would remain in the galaxy, but whether the council would accept the new reality or try to fight Against the inevitable, the crystal walls of the chamber hummed with uncertainty as the oldest civilizations in the galaxy grappled with a truth they had never imagined. Sometimes the greatest threat is not an enemy with weapons but a friend with open arms. The Reckoning, the Silent Catastrophe. 6 months after the Assembly's judgment, the galaxy faced a crisis that made the human question seem trivial. It began with a single star system on the outer rim going dark, not destroyed, not conquered, simply silent. Every communication relay stopped transmitting. Every ship that entered the system never returned. Within 3 weeks, 12 more systems went dark, then 50, then hundreds. Prime Orbiter Zethor stood in the emergency command center, deep within the Assembly's headquarters, watching the galaxy map with growing horror. Red zones spread across the display like a disease. His shadow form flickered with fear. He could no longer hide. What are we dealing with? He asked Senior Analyst Tefar. The crystalline being's thoughts moved so fast that his translation matrix struggled to keep up. Unknown. The pattern does not match any recorded threat, not the swarm, not the void entities, not even the Zytra. Whatever this is, it is entirely new. Ambassador Krelnix of the Thurax Empire accessed military reports from his people. We sent our finest battle fleet to investigate 20,000 ships. They entered the dark zone 3 days ago. He paused, his bony plates rattling with suppressed emotion. This morning we received a single transmission, just 2 words. They adapt. Counselor Mirasol's liquid light form dimmed with concern. Adapt to what? What are they fighting? We do not know. Krelnix admitted. The transmission ended. The fleet is gone. The pattern emerges. For 2 months the Council threw everything they had at the growing crisis. Fleet after fleet entered the dark zones. None returned. The greatest scientific minds in the galaxy studied the problem from every angle. They found nothing. Whatever was spreading through the galaxy left no evidence, no clues, no survivors to tell the story. Then Tefar made a discovery that changed everything. The dark zones are not random, he announced during an emergency council session. They follow a specific pattern. They are avoiding certain systems. The holographic display highlighted the dark zones in red and the surviving systems in blue. A clear pattern emerged. The blue systems formed a web across the galaxy, untouched islands in a sea of darkness. What do these systems have in common? Zor demanded. Timar was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet. Human presence. Every system that remains active has a documented human population or significant human genetic integration. The chamber exploded into chaos. Delegates shouted accusations and theories. Some claimed humans had created the crisis. Others suggested it was an elaborate manipulation. A few simply sat in stunned silence. Zethor raised his hand for quiet. Show me the data, all of it. The evidence was undeniable. Systems with human influence remained functional. Systems without human contact went dark. The correlation was perfect. Not a single exception existed. This cannot be coincidence. Karnik growled. Humans must be behind this. They created this weapon to force us to accept them. If humans created this, Mirasol countered, why would they protect our worlds where their people live? They would be protecting their own colonies, not our populations. Tefar Projected new data. I have been analyzing reports from the surviving systems. They all report the same phenomenon. When the darkness approaches, something pushes it back, something they cannot see or measure. The effect is strongest in areas with the highest concentration of human integrated populations. The desperate request. ZH Thor made a decision that would have been unthinkable 6 months earlier. He sent a message to Earth, requesting Commander Sarah Chen's immediate presence. She arrived within a week, her ship traveling through the dark zones without incident. When Sarah entered the command center, the change in the Council's attitude was obvious. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else, desperate hope. Commander Chenzauther began, "We need answers. What is happening in the dark zones? Why are humanulated systems immune?" Sarah studied the galaxy map with genuine concern. "We don't fully understand it ourselves, Arbiter, but we have theories." She pulled up biological data. When the Genesis ships scattered across the galaxy, we did not just send human DNA, we sent Earth's entire biological library: bacteria, viruses, fungi, plant seeds, animal embryos, everything. Our AI caretakers were instructed to introduce Earth biology slowly into local ecosystems wherever it would be beneficial and safe. Krelnix leaned forward. "What does this have to do with the dark zones?" "Earth biology has something your worlds do not," Sarah explained. "Constant aggressive adaptation. On Earth, life has been fighting for survival for 4 billion years. Every organism evolves defenses against every threat. Bacteria develop resistance to antibiotics. Viruses mutate to bypass immune systems. Plants create toxins to deter predators." She highlighted genetic sequences in the data. "When humans integrated into your populations, we did not just add our DNA, we added Earth's entire defensive library. Every world with human presence now has Earth microorganisms in the soil, the water, the air. These microorganisms are doing what they have always done, adapting to threats." Tefar's crystalline form pulsed rapidly. "You are suggesting that Earth bacteria are fighting the darkness? That is impossible. What kind of threat requires a biological defense?" "We sent probes into the dark zones," Sarah said quietly. "Unmanned probes designed to collect and return data. 3 of them made it back. What they found was terrifying." She displayed the probe data. The Council members recoiled in horror. The true enemy, the darkness, was not a weapon or a fleet or an enemy species. It was something far worse, a thought virus, an information-based entity that spread through communication networks, infiltrating the consciousness of intelligent beings. Once infected, individuals lost their ability to think independently. They became nodes in a vast hostile network. This entity attacks consciousness itself. Sarah explained it spreads through any form of communication, language, mathematics, even music. Once it enters a mind, it rewrites neural patterns. The victim becomes part of the entity, spreading it to others. Z. Thor understood immediately. This is why our fleets never returned. The moment they communicated with infected populations, they became infected themselves. Exactly, Sarah confirmed. Your civilizations are built on perfect information networks. You prize efficiency and instant communication. Every world is connected to every other world through quantum relays. When the virus enters your Network, it spreads at the speed of thought. Mirasol's light flickered with dawning horror, but human systems are immune. Why? Sarah smiled grimly. Because humans are terrible at communication. We misunderstand each other constantly. Our languages are imprecise. Our thoughts are chaotic. Our neural patterns are messy and inconsistent. The virus cannot gain a foothold because human consciousness is too disordered to infect efficiently. She pulled up more data, and Earth microorganisms make it even harder. Some of our bacteria produce compounds that interfere with neural signaling. Others generate random electromagnetic noise that disrupts information transfer. They evolved these defenses, fighting each other in Earth's oceans billions of years ago. Now, by pure accident, these same defenses work against an information-based predator. Karnik sat back heavily. You are telling us that humanity's chaos, your inefficiency, your biological messiness, these are defensive advantages against this particular threat? Yes, Sarah agreed. Your civilizations are perfect, ordered, efficient. That perfection makes you vulnerable. Humanity is imperfect, chaotic and stubborn. That chaos makes us resistant. The price of help, Zethor floated down to Sarah's level. We need your help, Commander, not just your presence but your active intervention. We need you to share your defensive biology, your chaotic communication methods, your human disorder. We need you to make our worlds more like yours. Sarah met his gaze steadily. That is a massive request, Arbiter. You are asking us to fundamentally alter your civilizations, to introduce disorder into systems built on perfect order. Are you certain? We have no choice, Zethor replied. 70% of the galaxy is already dark. Within 6 months, it will be 90%. Within a year, only human-protected systems will remain. We can accept your help now, or we can die maintaining our pride. Then I have conditions, Sarah said. The council members tensed. Krelnix's plates rattled with anger. You would negotiate while civilizations die. I would ensure that this never happens again, Sarah corrected. You declared humanity illegal, Arbiter. You tried to contain us. You feared what we might become. Now you need us and you want our help. I will give it freely, but the terms must be clear. Zor nodded. Slowly, name your price. The new arrangement. Sarah pulled up a document she had prepared long before this crisis began. First, the quarantine ends immediately and permanently. Humanity is recognized as a full galactic civilization with all rights and privileges. Agreed, Zethor said without hesitation. Second, all human integrated populations are granted full legal protection. No species may discriminate against individuals with human ancestry or human genetic markers. Mirasol spoke up. This is already necessary if we adopt your defensive biology. Agreed. Third, Sarah continued, the Council establishes a new protocol. No species may be judged by their potential threat, only by their actual actions. No more preemptive containment. No more quarantines based on fear. This request caused murmurs throughout the chamber. It struck at the heart of the Council's security philosophy. Tefar's crystalline form resonated thoughtfully. This request is profound. You are asking us to trust before we have proof of trustworthiness. I am asking you to learn from this crisis, Sarah replied. You feared humanity because we adapted Quickly, now that same adaptation is saving you. What other species have you rejected that might have helped you? What other potential allies have you destroyed because they were different? Zhor considered for a long moment. Finally he spoke. Your third condition is accepted. The Council will reform its protocols. We will judge actions, not potential. Sarah smiled. Then humanity will help. We will share everything. Our biology, our chaos, our defensive strategies. We will work together to push back the darkness and reclaim the lost systems. The campaign begins. Within days, human experts arrived at every threatened system. They brought with them something the galaxy had never seen. Controlled chaos. They introduced Earth microorganisms into water supplies. They taught local populations to communicate less efficiently, to embrace misunderstanding as a defensive advantage. They rewired communication networks to include random noise and delays. The ordered civilizations of the galaxy learned to be messy. It went against everything they valued, but it worked. The dark zone stopped expanding. Then they began to shrink. System by system, world by world, humanity and their alien allies pushed back the information virus. It was a slow process, requiring patience and persistence that most species struggled to maintain, but humans had practiced being stubborn. Commander Sarah Chin stood on the bridge of a joint human-Valkyrie ship, watching as another system came back online. Zethor floated beside her, his shadow form more solid than it had been in months. We would have died without you, he said quietly. The entire galaxy would have fallen to this darkness. Everything we built, everything we achieved, gone forever. Perhaps, Sarah replied, or perhaps you would have found another solution. Intelligence finds a way. You are kind to say so, but we both know the truth. Zhor turned to look at her. We declared your species illegal because we feared your chaos would destroy our order. Instead, your chaos saved our order. Irony is not lost on me. Sarah smiled. The universe has a sense of humor. Arbiter, the new galaxy, 2 years after the crisis began, the last dark zone was cleared. The galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief, but everyone knew that things would never return to how they were before. Human influence was everywhere now, not through conquest or domination, but through necessary integration. Every major world had human populations, every government included human advisors, every communication network included human-designed chaos protocols. The Council held a special session to formalize the new arrangement. The crystal chamber was full for the first time in years. Representatives from all surviving civilizations gathered to witness history. Zethor floated at the center, his ancient voice carrying to every corner. The Council has made many decisions in its long existence, some wise, some foolish. Our judgment against humanity was our greatest mistake and our greatest lesson. He gestured to Sarah, who stood where she had stood during her trial. We feared humans because they were different. We tried to contain them because we could not control them. We declared them illegal because we did not understand them. The chamber was absolutely silent. Today we make a new declaration. Humanity is not just legal. Humanity is essential. Their chaos balances our order. Their adaptation complements our stability. Their stubborn refusal to give up reminds us why we survive. He raised his Arms and the crystal walls began to sing, let it be recorded in perpetual memory. The council was wrong. Diversity is not a threat. Difference is not danger. The galaxy is stronger with many voices, many methods, many ways of thinking. Krelnik stood, his massive form imposing but his voice humble. Thax Empire formally apologizes to humanity. We were wrong to fear you, wrong to judge you. We ask forgiveness and offer friendship. One by one every species in the chamber stood and made similar declarations. Apologies flowed like water, offers of alliance filled the air. Sarah listened to it all with quiet dignity. When the declarations ended, she spoke. Humanity accepts your apologies and your friendship. We ask only one thing in return. Remember this lesson. The next species you encounter might be even stranger than us, even more chaotic, even harder to understand. Do not make the same mistake twice. Epilogue. Seeds grown. 20 years later, Sarah Chin retired from active service. She was old now, her hair white, her face lined with age and experience. She chose to spend her retirement on a small colony world at the edge of explored space, a world where humans and aliens lived together, worked together, raised families together. One evening she sat on her porch watching the sunset. 3 suns painted the sky in colors that Earth had never known. Her neighbor, Thurnk's farmer named Krelvex, walked over with fresh produce from his garden. His daughter, half Thurnk's and half human, played with Sarah's grandchildren in the yard. Beautiful evening. Krelvex rumbled, settling his massive bulk on a specially reinforced chair. Every evening is beautiful here, Sarah replied. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the children play. The kids spoke a language that was part English, part Thax, part Valkyrie, and entirely their own creation. They switched between languages without thinking, creating new words when existing ones did not fit. You know, Krelvik said, my father was Ambassador Krelnix, the one who voted to declare humanity illegal. Sarah nodded. I remember him. He apologized later. It took courage. He told me once before he died that meeting humans was the best thing that ever happened to him. We Thax pride ourselves on strength and order, but he said humans taught him that strength without flexibility is just brittleness waiting to break. Sarah smiled. Your father was wise. He also said, Krelvex continued, that humanity's greatest trick was not spreading across the galaxy before anyone noticed. It was making everyone want you to stay once they did notice. Sarah watched her grandchildren playing with Krelvex's daughter. 3 species become one family. We didn't trick anyone. We just offered what we had. Friendship, cooperation, family. Turns out most people want those things, regardless of what planet they come from. A transport ship passed overhead, heading toward the stars. It carried a mixed crew of humans and aliens, explorers heading to uncharted regions. The galaxy was growing again, expanding, discovering, and this time humans were part of that growth from the beginning. The council tried to stop us, Sarah said. Quietly, they tried to cage us, contain us, make us illegal. They thought they could write laws to keep humanity small and controlled. She gestured at the playing children, at the mixed settlement spreading across the valley, at the ship disappearing into the stars. But you cannot make love illegal. You cannot outlaw cooperation. You cannot ban the simple human desire to reach out and connect. Krelvax rumbled with laughter. No, I suppose you cannot. The Sun set slowly, painting the sky. Impossible colors, in the distance more. Lights began to appear. New settlements, new families, new combinations of species that had never existed before. The galaxy was becoming something new, something that had never been seen before, and at the heart of it all, quietly, stubbornly, persistently, was humanity, not conquering, not dominating, just being human, just connecting, adapting, surviving, and thriving. The Council had declared humanity illegal, but life, Sarah thought, has never cared much for loss. Life finds a way, and humanity, messy and chaotic and wonderful humanity, had found a way to become part of everything. She raised her glass to the stars, to the future, to the impossible galaxy that feared humans and then learned to love them, to being illegal. She whispered in the sky above. The stars whispered back their agreement.